Hi friends, welcome back to Parnika tutorials. In the last video, I have discussed what is a data, what is a database, what is a database management system, and then I have discussed how can we connect the Python with the MySQL database, what are the steps involved in it, and then how can we look at all the available databases in the MySQL using the show database command and also using the Python program. I hope you have watched that video. If you did not watch that video, or if you don't know what are the steps involved in Python database connectivity, I request you to go back and watch that video and come back to this video. In this video, we will discuss how can we create the database, how can we create a table in the given database, and then once we create the table, how can we insert the values into the table. All these concepts I will discuss with respect to the MySQL and also with respect to the Python programming. So I sincerely request everyone to watch the complete video for better understanding. If you want to create your own database in MySQL, we have the MySQL command called create database and database name end with semicolon. So we need to write create and then we need to provide the database and then we need to provide the database name and then we need to end with the semicolon. So this is the MySQL command to create your own database. If you want to give me an example, let's take that I want to create a database called Parnika. Then I need to write create database and then I need to provide Parnika. Then in MySQL Parnika database will be created. Once we created the database, we can create the tables and then we can insert the values into the table. All these things we can do inside the database. Now the same task we will do with the help of Python programming. So if you want to write any Python programming with respect to the MySQL, we need to create the Python database. So we need to follow the 4 steps. What is the first step? We need to import the MySQL.connector. Then we need to establish the connection using the connect method. So how I can do? I can write some object con is equal to MySQL.connector, which is a class. Inside this class we have the connect method. Inside this method we need to provide various arguments like host, user, password. So I will write host is equal to host name as localhost and then comma and then I need to provide the username. Here the username is root and then password, as I said earlier, whatever the password you have provided while installing the MySQL, the same password you need to provide here. If the MySQL connection has been successfully created, then MySQL connection object will be created. Then we need to create the cursor object. So let me write C is equal to, where C is the cursor object, and then if you want to create the cursor object, you need to use the cursor method. So I need to write con.cursor method. This cursor method is useful for you to execute the SQL statements in Python. Then you need to execute the query. How can you execute the query? You need to use the execute method. So I need to write cursor object dot, which is c dot execute. Now inside this execute method, whatever the query you want to write, that query you should write here. So within the double quotes, the MySQL query you need to write. So what we need to do now? We want to create an database called Parnika. So what is the syntax? You need to write create database and then you need to provide the database name, which is Parnika. Okay, then I need to close the connection. If you want to close the connection, then you can use the close method. So I need to write con dot close. Then whatever the connection has been established, that connection will be terminated. Now let me execute this program. So I need to click the run. Once I click the run, then a Parnika database will be created. If you want to verify, you need to just type show databases. Then you can observe now Parnika database has been successfully created. So like this we can create a database in MySQL using Python programming language. Once we have created the database, inside the database I want to create a table. If you want to create the table, you need to use the create statement. So you need to write create table, table name, what are the columns and the corresponding data type you need to specify. So you need to write create table and then table name, and then you need to provide attribute 1 or column 1 and its data type. Even you can provide the various constraint like primary key, not null, unique, all these constraints also you can provide. And then you need to provide the column 2 data type, and then column 3 and then data type, so on. You can have n number of columns. For each column you can have the data type. So this is the way you can create the table. Now let me discuss a simple example to create the student table. So to do that one, I need to write the create statement and then I need to write the table because I want to create a table. What is the table name? I want to create the student table. Inside the student table, I want to have three attributes. One is the roll number, name, branch. So I will write the roll number which is integer, so I will use the data type as int, and then name is a variable character, so I will use varchar of size 20, and then branch is again a variable character, so I will write varchar of size 10. And then you can end with a semicolon. Now inside the database, a table called student will be created. So this is the MySQL statement to create the table. So we will do the same task using the Python programming. So here we need to provide the database because I want to create the table inside the specified database. So now you need to provide the database name also. You need to write database is equal to database name. Now this table called student I want to create inside the Parnika database. So that's why I have provided database and then database name as Parnika. Then I need to write the query inside this execute method. So what is the query? Create table, table name is student, and then I need to provide roll number which is an integer data type, and the name which is a variable character of size 20, and then I want to have the branch which is again varchar of size 10. And then you can run this program inside the Parnika database. Now student table will be created. If you want to do it, let me execute the run statement. Now if you want to verify whether the table called student have been created in the database called Parnika or not, you need to just use the database called Parnika. So to use the database, you need to provide use database name. Now you can observe database changed. Now inside the database, if you want to see what are the existing tables, you need to write a command called show tables. The show tables command is useful for you to display the existing tables inside the particular database. Now you can see tables in Parnika. Only one table is there called student. Inside this table, how many attributes are there or how many columns are there? If you want to verify, you can look at the description of the table. If you want to verify the description of the table, you need to use a statement called DESC table name and then end with a semicolon. Now you can see various attributes like field, type, null, key, default, etc. So how many fields are there? 3 fields are there or 3 columns are there, which is roll number, name, branch. And what is the corresponding data type of each column is? For roll number it is int, for name varchar of size 20, branch varchar of size 10. Is there any null values are allowed? Because we have not provided any constraint called not null. For all these three attributes, null values are allowed, and the default is null, means if it does not enter any value, the default value will be null. As we have provided any keys, primary key or foreign key, as we have not provided, the key is not there for any attribute. So like this you can create a table and then you can look at the description of the table. Now we will discuss how can we insert the values into the table. If you want to insert the values into the table, we need to use the insert statement in MySQL. Let me discuss the syntax of using the insert. You need to provide the insert and then you need to provide the into, means in which table you want to insert, that you need to provide now. So insert into table name. If you want to insert values into the all the attributes, then you can simply write insert into table name values, and then you need to provide values for all the attributes into the table. So you can write value 1, value 2, value 3, and then you can end with a semicolon. Now for the three attributes, meaning is that in the table name three attributes are there. For the three attributes you have provided the values. If you want to insert values to only few specified columns, that also we can do. You need to write insert into table name, then you need to provide the column 1, column 2, then you can provide values, and for these two columns you can provide the values, value 1, value 2. Then if you have some other columns, then a null value will be inserted for all those columns. Suppose let's say that you have in the table column 1, column 2, column 3. For column 1 and column 2, whatever the values you have provided will be inserted. For the column 3, the default value, null value will be inserted. So this is the way you can insert the values into the table. So this is the MySQL statement to insert the values into the table. Now what we will do is that we'll write the Python program to insert the values into the student table inside the Parnika database. I will write q is equal to whatever the query I need to write here, insert into student table, and then I need to provide roll number and then name, branch, and then I will write values. The values I will take from the user. So I will write %yes, comma %yes, comma %yes, and then I will write some v is equal to, I will provide all the values as a one tuple. Suppose let's take that student roll number is 1 and his name is Jagadish and then his branch is CSC. Now if you want to insert these values into the table called student, then we can write execute q comma v. Now in q you have the insert statement, in the v you have the values. Now let me run this program. You can write select star from table name. What is the table name? Student. If I press enter, empty set. Why? Because we have not performed the commit operation. If it does not perform the commit operation, what are the tasks we are doing? That task will not be reflected in the database. Look at here, we are inserting one row. If it does not perform the commit operation, then that value will not be inserted into the database. So after writing the execute, we need to perform the commit. So I need to write the con.commit method. Now look at here, if I execute this program, then one row will be inserted. I will write select star from table name is student. What is the purpose of select? Is to display the rows, or if you want to display only few columns, then you can write select column 1, column 2 from the table name. As I have provided star, all the attributes or all the columns will be displayed, and then existing rows also will be displayed. Now you can see in the student table we have only one row consists of 1 Jagadish CSC. Now we will discuss how can we insert multiple rows and a single instant of time, because if you look at, once I execute this program, only one row or one tuple has been inserted. If I want to insert multiple rows, that also we can do. Let me provide one list of tuple. So I will write roll number as 2 and then name as Siri and the branch is EC. Similarly, I will have one more tuple whose roll number is 3, whose name is Nikhil and the branch is CSC. And then let me have one more tuple whose roll number is 4, whose name is Sai and who is from mechanical department. And then let me close the list. Now inside the list you have 3 tuples, so 3 rows you are inserting. If you want to insert all the rows at a single instant of time, instead of using the execute method, you need to use the execute many and then you need to use the commit. So whatever you are inserting, that you want to save it into the database. So that is the use of the commit method. Now let me run the program and then I will go to the MySQL command line client and then I will write select star from table name, which is student table. From the student table I want to display all the rows and all the columns. Now you can see 4 rows are there. Already we have 1 Jagadish CSC. Now 3 rows have been inserted, which is roll number 2 Siri ECE, 3 Nikhil CSC, 4 Sai mechanical. Like this we can insert the values into the table. I hope you have understood how to create the database, how to create a table inside a database, and then how can we insert the values into the table. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts as early as possible. Thank you for watching the complete video. Have a nice day.